Good morning, everyone. Today we will be playing a jank mill list powered up by sanity grinding, and of course, having crab 4 through 8 in the deck, as well as one other surprise addition, and that is Seagate Restoration. Now, sanity grinding says you look at the top 10 cards of your library, you find each blue mana symbol amongst those 10 cards, and you mill your opponent for that amount. And now we have a land that counts for 3 pips of blue devotion. So, sanity grinding got a lot more powerful. Second, redundant crabs means that our best draw of crab fetch land is a lot more likely. And I like this version also because we have Maddening Cacophony, which serves as a sort of mono-blue glimpse the unthinkable. It's not quite as powerful, but it does only require basic islands. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and take this into a constructed league. I did adjust the sideboard a little bit. This list is not as janky because we're not running Chancellor of the Spires, of course, but I had a little bit of success with it in 2-mans, so we'll see how it does. Alright, we've got 2 lands, Ruin Crab, Merfolk, Secret Keeper. I think this is a keep. Okay, our opponent starts Steam Vents, Opt. Fair enough. We draw Second Crab. So with Second Crab, we definitely play Ruin Crab first. There was some consideration that I would play Ruin Crab on turn 2 before playing a second land and just mill them with Merfolk Secret Keeper or something here. But because we draw a Second Crab, we want to crab land. Well, second land, but you know what I mean. Okay, opponent starts Manamorphose. It looks like this is Blitz. It's probably a Stormwing entity. There it is. Alright. We don't really have any removal in the main, which might be kind of bad. Third Crab. Crabtron, assemble. So, target our opponent. Save targets, always yield. Mill our opponent for a bunch, mill our opponent for a bunch. Third Crab. Pass the turn. Now, if I could draw a fetch land off the top, I would be ecstatic. If my opponent attacks with Swift Spear, I'm not even going to block, because they're playing Mutagenic Growth. We have 2 draws to hit a land. Oh gosh. Please don't remove a crab. No blocks. Take 4. We untap. Land. Get 'em, crabs. Each land mills for 9. Past the second main, we're going to Venture Deeper. Then we're going to Ancestral Recall. And you know what? We have free counter spells in this deck, so we're going to Ancestral Recall. Oh, we're going to get him with the 4th crab. Alright, opponent plays a Fiery Islet. They play a Sprite Dragon. I'll block there exactly. I suspect they have 1 spell. Nope, they have a bunch, because that's a Lava Dart, and they have several Lava Darts in the grave. So I guess I actually had to block the other one as well, because that just kills us. They don't even need to flash it back. Yup. Sorry, I was so caught up with milling power that I didn't even realize we were dead. Yes, we get it. You like sacking your own lands. Okay, so our opponent's deck. I think we need Aether Gust, and I kind of want this last Force of Negation. I'm gonna drop. What do we cut here? I think we cut Maddening Cacophonies for 2 Aether Gusts. Surgical Extraction is kind of funny versus our opponent's deck because they only have so many threats, but I don't want to be paying life if I don't have to be right now. The bad news is by playing mono blue, we don't have things like Crypt Incursion, so we can't just gain a ton of life by milling our opponents, which is a little bit bad. Alright, we'll play first. 1 land, not really keepable. This actually might be. If our opponent starts fetch land, they're going to be like completely toast. I'm going to put back Archmage's Charm, and we are going to start Seagate Reborn tapped. So other merits than the fact that this is a land with mana symbols on it is it can be pitched to force if necessary. Right, our opponent does not start fetch land. They play a Soulscar Mage. We untap. We draw Archive Trap number 3. Visions of Beyond will try and hit a land. Alright, we do not hit a land. Pass the turn. Oh boy, fetch for me, please. Okay, second Soulscar Mage. And an Opt. Okay, I guess we let an Opt resolve. Would really like to draw a land so we can cast Maddening Cacophony. Opponent hits us for 2. The 4th Archive Trap. A handful of cards I have never seen in my life. Play that fetch land. Oh, do it! Oh, you better do it! Oh, crack that fetch land and it is over. Alright, I'm going to pitch Sanity Grinding to Force of Negation. We're taking 6 here. There it is! Cast that cantrip. Oh, is this lethal? I'll be really upset if this is lethal. 3, 6, 9, 12. If my opponent kills me by bolting me twice at their upkeep, I'm gonna be so mad. But we just got the Quadra Trap. Oh, 0 cards left in your deck. What are you gonna do, opponent? What are you gonna do? Oh man, the one land kill your opponent. Whew. Alright, we'll run it back. Alright, this hand not keepable. This hand not really keepable either. I think I can work with this, because we do have a Visions of Beyond for a redraw, but it's not great. I don't want to mulligan much lower, though. So I'm going to put back Sanity Grinding, and I think Mission Breach. Okay, opponent starts Scalding Tarn. Gets a Steam Vents, and Swift Spear. Mill them for a bunch. We did give them a bunch of Lava Darts, which is kind of a problem. Okay, we draw Ruin Crab. Play Ruin Crab. Pass the turn. Best draw is a fetch land. Okay, opponent shocks a Steam Vents. Mana... Oh, Sprite Dragon. Okay. They hit us for 2. If we block the Swift Spear, they can kill it with a Lava Dart, but they would sack a land to do so. Alright, Field of Ruin. Play Crab. Play Field. Mill our opponent. Mill our opponent. Save targets. Always yield. Okay, pass the turn. Man, if we could just draw a land. We'll have an Ancestral Recall, but if we draw a land first, we can mill them again, and then Ancestral Recall. Depending on what my opponent plays here, it might be correct to actually block. It's possible I should have blocked and forced them to Lava Dart to try and get rid of my guy, but then there was no guarantee my opponent would have enough cards in graveyard to turn on Visions. So if we draw a land first, we'll play a land first and probably activate Field, but if we don't, we have to Visions, and hope that we hit like a fetch land. Just play like some Soulscar Mages or something. There we go. Okay, opponent attacks for 6. No blocks. Opponent Lava Darts our face. They can cast 3 more Lava Darts. Is that lethal? So this is 4 and 4. Then 9, 10, 11. I think if they flash back all of their Lava Darts now, I lose. Oh my god. I'm not even mad. I am not even mad if I lose this. Because we cast 4 traps on a guy in 1 turn. Like, just regular traps, too. None of that fancy flashback shenanigans. Wow. I should have blocked. Top deck was Crab. And then we would have Ancestral Recalled to get these 3. We would have had to use a fetch land prior to playing the Crab, though. And then we would probably have to Aether Gust. Wow! Alright, not even mad. Let's go to round 2. Alright, I'd love to play first. Not with this hand. Maybe. Double Crab, free counterspell backup. Problem is we have no redraws if we miss hitting a land here. Let's try it. Seagate Reborn, I will pay life. Play Ruin Crab. Pass the turn. Alright, deck. Kano needs a land. Opponent starts by fetching and shocking a Blood Crypt. Fatal Push. Not allowed. Okay, Archive Trap, not bad. Play the Redundant Crab, and we're going to swing 0 to send a message. Okay, opponent cracks a Bloodstained Mire. Shocking again. And Thought Seizes us. Well, mill them for 13. So this is the, like, Mardu mid-range Pyromancer kind of deck that got revived. Okay, opponent takes Maddening Cacophony, bolts a Crab, That's what I'm guessing. Yup. We untap. Draw a card we can't cast. So, swing 0, send a message. By the way, if I lose this, it's totally my fault for keeping a one-lander. But could you imagine if my greed had been rewarded? The kind of destruction we would have wrought with this hand? Yep, opponent discards a Snow Swamp, any Lingering Souls. We draw Seagate Restoration. So play... We will play it untapped, mill our opponent, save targets always yield, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Sacred Foundry untapped, and plays a Magmatic Channeler. Okay, good addition to that deck. Another Magmatic Channeler. Attacks for 2. I don't see any Lava Darts in the grave, so block 1. Alright, we untap. We draw a Crab. I was intending to cast Mission Briefing to manipulate my top deck, but didn't look like that was actually going to happen, so there was probably no reason to bolt myself for that. If my opponent has Burn, I accept my demise. We go to 2. They flashback Lingering Souls, and they flashback Lingering Souls. If we draw an untapped blue source, we might be able to kill our opponent. That is a tapped blue source, but I appreciate the gumption. Alright. I will be right back. Okay. So versus our opponent's deck, there is a decent chance that they are running Leyline, which means I kind of want Void Snares. I also want Surgicals, both to hit the Pyromancer and the Lingering Souls. So what do we remove for those 5 cards? I think it's okay to drop a couple of Archmage's Charms, a couple of Maddening Cacophonies, and then we'll cut, I think, another Archmage's Charm, and run it back like this. Alright, I would love to play first. Here we go. Here's a hand. Double Crab, 3 land, and a field. So, let us begin Snow-Covered Island and Ruin Crab. Okay, opponent bolts the crab with extreme prejudice. Oh man, if they hadn't though. As should be obvious, crabs are things to be feared. So play Flooded Strand, target our opponent. Save targets, always yield. Opponent's playing Kroxa and Liliana and Engineered Explosives. I want to top deck a Archive Trap. That's what I want to top deck right now. Opponent plays a Mishra's Bauble. Cracks Mishra's Bauble, looks at the top card of their own deck. Plays a Marsh Flats. Cracks Marsh Flats. Finds a Godless Shrine. And casts a Stoneforge Mystic. Alright, you got it. If we top deck Archive Trap, we're playing Field and activating it. If we don't, we're probably playing Seagate untapped and then playing Sanity Grinding. So play Seagate Reborn, mill our opponent, and then fire off the namesake of the deck. So 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Not bad. Put them on the bottom in any order. No! Kozilek? That jerk. Why are you running Kozilek? Is it really for the mill matchup? Is that your sideboard for the mill matchup? Because if it is, boy am I mad. Opponent takes our Ancestral Recall, does not attack. We untap, draw Snow-Covered Island, play a Ruin Crab, play Field of Ruin. I guess we have to hope our opponent draws that Eldrazi, which, let me tell you, I'm not thrilled about. Okay, opponent puts a Sword of Fire and Ice into play. I'm glad I brought in the Surgicals. The problem is they're going to be way too late. Okay, opponent suits up the Stoneforge, plays an Urborg, and casts a Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger. Alright, we have to discard. We lose life because of it. Kroxa does not get escaped, so it dies. Okay, we cannot block. I guess we do this now. Take our opponent off white mana. Okay, mill our opponent for 6. We mill all of their seasoned Pyromancers. They unearth the Pyromancer. I can't believe my opponent has a Kozilek in their sideboard. Yeah. Alright. Alright. Moving on to round 3. Maybe we need some Ley Lines of the Void or something of that. Along those lines, you know. Something we can do to get rid of all of the Eldrazi shuffle-in shenanigans. I imagine, because like Mill became really popular in Modern immediately post second Crab printing. All hail our Crab Lord and Master, Ruined Crab. I'm wondering if more decks are going to start doing that and just playing Eldrazi Titans out of the sideboard to try and counteract the milling. Alright, this is about as close to our ideal draw as we can have, so we're going to keep. I mean, ideally there would be a Archive Trap in this hand as well. So, start by playing a Ruined Crab. Okay, opponent cracks Flooded Strand. We don't have any free counterspells, so I've just F6'd. And they get a Triome. Okay, it appears to be Jeskai control. If they have to path this, and we start with more mana and we draw another crab, they're going to be in a lot of hurt. Alright, opponent starts another tap land. Well, we draw another crab, so they path us. Play a land. Play crab. Play Flooded Strand. Target our opponent. Save targets. Always yield. Crack Flooded Strand. Get an island. Mill our opponent some more. And then I think I'm just going to venture deeper. I'm not going to play the other crab out. Pass the turn. Playing into a counterspell, but around a Wrath. Okay. Opponent fetches and shocks for an Uro, it looks like. We mill Omnath. They get a mountain. We untap. We draw a mission briefing. Play crab. Play cacophony. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a snow-covered forest, so this is a good turn for them to escape Uro. Okay. There's Uro. So they gain 3 life, they draw a card, and they can put a land onto the battlefield. They do not have a land to play. So I'm actually super tempted to Archmage's Charm Divination mode here, if I don't draw a fetch land. Oh man, okay. Draw cards. Force of Negation. Okay. Pass the turn. Opponent goes to combat, attacks for 6. Puts no lands into play, no blocks. We'll take our beats. Opponent plays a Field of the Dead. We untap. We draw a Visions of Beyond. So, Maddening Cacophony. Hardcast Force of Negation. Alright, play a Secret Keeper, who will be on chump blocking duty here. I was hoping that we could Visions of Beyond and kind of reload, but such is not a thing that will happen yet. Opponent picks up a Misty Rainforest. Omnath? Is this Omnath? It is Omnath. Alright, landfall triggers abound. Can this deck beat a Blood Moon? Inquiring minds want to know. Opponent puts Force of Negation on top. Alright, opponent Growth Spirals. I mean, if we draw a land, I'm pretty sure they just die. Because, like, if we draw a fetch land, we mill our opponent for something like 18. Opponent makes a whole bunch of zombies. Our merfolk blocks. Okay, we untap. We draw an Archive Trap. Play a crab. Pass the turn. Actually, I'm going to try and cantrip into a land now. This should force my opponent to counter. Yup. Okay. If I had one more land, when they crack this Misty Rainforest inevitably, we could Archive Trap, Mission Briefing, Archive Trap, and then we would be fine. They don't do it. Alright. I guess we're probably just dead to the landfall off of Omnath here. Okay. They crack Misty Rainforest. They get a Steam Vents. Let's go ahead and mill them. Now we can just F6. Opponent gets a zombie. Opponent casts an Hour of Promise. Do they even have lands to hit? They do. Okay. Yeah, we're just dead. We can't block enough. Yep. Yep. Okay. Yep. Yes. You got us, opponent. So, versus our opponent's deck, Spell Pierce, Force of Negation, and Commandeer are coming in. There's some notion that Aether Gust might be good, but I don't want to take out too many things. So we're going to cut Merfolk. We're going to cut some number of Archmage's Charm. I kind of want Surgical, because Surgical can take out like Uros and stuff. Maybe I run only one Aether Gust. I'll bring in 2 Surgical. We could just bring in Ashiok, but I think with as many fetch lands as our opponents run, while Ashiok would be good, and the Grave Hate would be relevant, I think we want Archive Trap and not... we want Surgical and Archive Trap over Ashiok in this scenario, I think. I'm not sure. We'll play first. Trap, Force of Negation, Double Crab, Fetch Land, Commandeer. Yeah, we'll keep. Play Polluted Delta. Crack Polluted Delta. Get an island. Play Crab. Pass the turn. The opponent plays and cracks a Scalding Tarn. Gets a Steam Vents untapped and Lightning Bolts. So let's trap our opponent. I kind of want to force this, but we have a redundant Crab and we're holding a Commandeer. And if my opponent plays a Renin 6 on turn 2, we're going to Commandeer that Renin 6 and they are going to feel horrendously bad. Okay, we get a Visions of Beyond, which I'm going to cast here because I do want to draw another land. Okay, play the land, play the Crab, pass the turn. Alright, come on, Renin 6. Show me the money. Opponent plays a Scalding Tarn, they crack Scalding Tarn. Come on, Stomping Ground, Renin 6. You know the line. What are you afraid of? Shouldn't be a Commandeer. Hollowed Fountain, that's not the green mana. Alright, untap. They path us. We don't really have a choice. Okay, we draw another Force of Negation, so pass the turn. Well, that was really disappointing, opponent. Come on, you're supposed to walk into the big Commandeer. I mean, if they play Teferi, that would also be a hilarious thing to nab. Alright, untap. We draw Visions. We're just going to wait. We're going to leave up Archmage's Charm. / Force of Negation. / Visions of Beyond. Okay, opponent plays a Misty, cracks Misty, gets a tap land. Okay, Archmage's Charm, target ourself. I'm gonna remand it. The problem is Force of Negation here exiles that, and we kind of want that in their grave. Alright, you can have your remand. We untap. Draw Ruin Crab. Oh, so close. Play the Crab. Pass the turn. So our opponent is going to escape Uro next turn, which is going to take them off of, or take us off of Visions of Beyond becoming Ancestral Recall, which does kind of suck. But if they decide to cast a Planeswalker or do anything else this turn, they might have a bad time. Okay, we're going to try Force of Negation, exiling Force of Negation. They're going to Mystically Dispute Force of Negation. Okay, we're not going to pay. So then we Visions, because they have 20 cards in grave. Oh, they have Mana Leak too? Alright. Crab down. Get an island. Opponent plays a Mystic Sanctuary, somehow untapped, putting Cryptic on top. Okay. Untap. We draw Maddening Cacophony. So we're going to Divination. We draw Sanity Grinding. So we know our opponent's holding Cryptic Command, and they're probably going to escape Uro, but I think leaving up Commandeer is correct. Next turn, we can Maddening Cacophony, see if we can draw a counterspell, and then cast Sanity Grinding. So green, green, blue, blue. Here comes the Titan of Nature's Wrath. Okay. Gets to stick around this time. They gain 3 life, they draw a card. They put a Flooded Strand into play, along with a Field of Ruin. So they don't have Cryptic mana, and they have one unknown in their hand. We draw Crab. So, Maddening Cacophony. Waiting to kick this is not really an option. Okay. Sanity Grinding. Opponent cracks Flooded Strand. They might just be doing this to get a land out of their deck before most of their deck goes away. Looks like that's the case. We mill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards. Okay? Opponent has 10 cards left in their deck. And they're drawing 2 cards a turn, which means if we top deck a fetch land, we probably have got them. Alright? Opponent attacks with Uro. They do have Cryptic available, though, which is kind of a problem. The Crab might actually draw a counterspell. So, play Crab. If my opponent Cryptics this, I'm going to Mission Briefing and try and hit Maddening Cacophony, because that would kill my opponent. And like, no matter what happens, they have to do something about it right now. So 4 mana, counter and return Mystic Sanctuary. Okay. Mission Briefing. Graveyard, Graveyard. Hit Maddening Cacophony. Mill our opponent for 8. Oh, that's right, Kozilek. Stupid. Why is everyone running Kozilek? Alright. I'm gonna have to put some Tormod's Crypts in the sideboard. That's 2 decks that don't intend on casting Eldrazi Titans, running Eldrazi Titans in the sideboard. Getting a little salty about that. I mean, at least, what's it called? The 4-color Uro Ramnath deck can actually cast Kozilek. It's not, like, entirely unreasonable, because they have, they have Uro, who acts as an explorer, they run other ramp spells, they have Hour of Promise, they make zombies, like, that's okay. The Mardu Unearth 3-drop or less deck running a 10-mana Eldrazi Titan makes me a little bit salty, I'm not gonna lie. Alright. We've been doing mean things to good people, though, most of these games. Also, Kozilek was the last card in their deck. Last game. This hand's kind of slow. Yeah, I think we got a mulligan. I don't think we can keep a 4-lander. Not unless the other 3 cards are crabs, and these are mostly fetch lands. Alright, mulligan. Alright, we're going to try and keep this. I'm going to put back Maddening Cacophony. If I have to pitch anything to Force of Negation, it will be Merfolk's Secret Keeper. Kind of hoping to draw just an island or Seagate Restoration. Okay, we draw Visions of Beyond, so Flooded Strand, crack Flooded Strand, get a basic island, play the Crab, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Windswept Heath, cracks Windswept Heath, gets a basic forest, and casts a Burning Tree Emissary. Well, let's take a look at what they're playing. Ponza with a Blitz package, it looks like. Second Burning Tree, okay. Burning Tree, Scavenging Ooze. Okay, come on, fetch land. It's not a fetch land, but it's close. Play Seagate Reborn. Untapped. Opponent's gonna mill 3. Venture Deeper. Okay. Visions of Beyond now, before our opponent has time to grow the ooze too big. Okay. Pass the turn. We have stuff to play next turn, and that's what matters. We also have a Force of Negation, which we can pitch Maddening Cacophony to, if we have to. Opponent plays a Wooded Foothills, goes to combat, attacks for 6, no blocks. Well, actually, we can block here just fine. They don't have any lava darts, so... Okay, opponent eats a giant. Cracks Wooded Foothills. Gets a forest. Damage goes through. Okay. Force of Negation. Exile that. Exiling Maddening Cacophony. And hit him with the other trap just to be safe. Cool. Untap. We draw an Archmage's Charm. Let's go ahead and Ancestral Recall before anything else. Ooh. Another crab. Do we lose the 3 life to play the Secret Keeper to block? I mean, it's going to block at least 3 damage. I think so. So mill our opponent for another 6. Save targets. Always yield. Cast Merfolk Secret Keeper. And pass the turn. Opponent plays a forest. And I think we've got our opponent this time. So opponent attacks, we block here, and we block here. Okay. They're going to activate Skoos a couple of times just to make sure that they can kill Secret Keeper. I think they only need to once, but they could activate more than once if they want. Then they play a Tireless Tracker and lose. We untap and draw Seagate Restoration, so play Field of Ruin, mill our opponent, activate Field of Ruin, and opponent concedes. Nice! Take that, Ponza! Okay, so versus our opponent's deck. I kind of like Aether Gusts. I kind of like Commandeer, because if my opponent pillages and we take out one of their lands, we're going to have a bad time. And this might be a deck where we want Ashiok for repeated milling. I'm not sure. Well, first, what are we taking out? We brought in Commandeer, so I'm going to cut some Archmage's Charm. I'm going to cut one Maddening Cacophony. I think this is fine. Go ahead and run this out. Okay, Double Trap, Force of Negation, Field of Ruin, and Seagate Restoration. I actually think this hand is worth keeping. Generally, your opponent will have to crack one fetch land if they're running them. Let's try it. We have Force of Negation in case they like cast an early Stone Rain or something like that. Okay, opponent starts Forest. Arbor Elf. Fair. Moto is struggling again. Untap. We draw an Aether Gust. So play a Snow-Covered Forest. And let's go ahead and venture deeper. Mill our opponent. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a Forest. Casts another Arbor Elf. Casts a Llanowar Elves. Interesting. Opponent is on the Mono Elf plan right now. No attacks. Strange. We untap. We draw a Mission Briefing. We'll play Field of Ruin. And I'll cast Merfolk Secret Keeper. Right now, I think the only thing I'd Force of Negation is a Stone Rain or a Blood Moon. Opponent only does have 2 cards in their hand. They have no red mana, which means they might have to sack a Wooded Foothills to go get some. The third Forest. When it goes to combat, attacks for 3. Block 1. Take 2. Alright, we untap. We draw another Aether Gust. So play Seagate Reborn. Tapped. And pass. And now we have Aether Gust and Force of Negation. And if we're allowed to untap, we have potentially triple Archive Trap. I could have bolted myself to make sure that I could triple Archive Trap, but I don't think that's going to be super necessary. Okay. Another Llanowar Elves. Opponent goes to combat. Attacks. So, block a Llanowar Elf. We'll go ahead and Aether Gust another Elf. They cast Veil of Summer. Sure. This does fizzle the Aether Gust, but it didn't really matter. The worst part of that is my opponent gets to draw another card. And they play a Forest. Opponent really is on the Mono Forest plan this game. We untap. We draw another Field. So play Field. Pass the turn. Okay. Opponent still intent on beating down with the Dorks. Block one of them. Take 3. Go to 13. At their end step, we'll try and Aether Gust one of them. See if we can't slow down this clock. They put it on the bottom. Untap. We draw another Secret Keeper. Alright, venture deeper. Let's mill our opponent. Really hoping they don't have another Veil of Summer. That would be quite bad. We mill 2 fetch lands, a Chandra, and a Veil. Cast a Secret Keeper. Then pass the turn. Okay, opponent goes to cast a Utopia Sprawl. I don't think we can allow this. If they want red mana, they need to fetch for it. Opponent doesn't even attack. We untap. We draw Seagate Restoration. I suppose we could just start hard casting traps. No sense bolting ourselves right now, though. We can wait. Okay, opponent untaps. Plays a Stomping Ground. Here we go. They need double red for something. They're going to pillage our island. So, nuke Stomping Ground. Get an island. Opponent gets a mountain. They take out one of our islands. Okay, we pass to their end step and we'll double trap them. Okay. Trap number 1. Trap number 2. Untap. They only have 13 cards left in their deck. And we just drew a Cryptic Command. Which is a card that's really good against our opponent's deck. Especially when we can actually cast it, of course. I apologize for the game running really slow. Try and remember to restart before I go into the last round, because this is pretty brutal having to play this way. Okay. When it goes to combat and attacks for 3. So, block, block. We take 1, go to 12. Untap. Visions of Beyond. Let's do it. Ancestral Recall. Get him, Crab. Opponent scoops it up. Alright, we won a round. Woo! I'll see you guys in round 5. Alright, round 5. Here we go. 1 land, Trap Visions is not good enough, so we're going to have to mulligan. This, on the other hand, I think will work. We're going to put back Maddening Cacophony. Okay, opponent starts Blood Crypt. Swift Spear. I was going to say, if that's a Thoughtseize, I'll force pitching the Merfolk Secret Keeper. The problem is we're going to have to bolt ourselves for the optimum line, and I'm not thrilled about that. Okay, they look at the top card of our deck. So they saw Island, and luckily we no longer have to bolt ourselves. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent draws an additional card. They play a Bloodstained Mire. They fetch with Bloodstained Mire. They get a Blood Crypt untapped. They Lightning Bolt the Crab. So Force Bolt. I could have pitched the Seagate Restoration, but I didn't want to. Opponent goes to combat. Attacks for 2. I don't know if they still run Gurmag Angler or not, but on the safe side, I'm not going to Archive Trap them until the end step. Death Shadow. Okay. Archive Trap. Death Shadow dies because they didn't have lower than 13 life total. I don't know what that was about. So, play Polluted Delta, mill our opponent, save targets always yield. Opponent concedes. Okay. I guess we'll bring in the 4th Force of Negation. Archmage's Charm is actually quite good against our opponent's deck because it can steal and kill Death Shadows and stuff. I think it's worth running Surgical here. I'm gonna cut a Secret Keeper and 2 Cacophonies to make that happen. Probably should be running Ashioks as well. Probably should be running Ashioks instead of Surgicals, but we're just gonna try it like this. Alright, Crab, Secret Keeper, Surgical, we'll keep. We're going to start with Venture Deeper, holding up Surgical Extraction. Opponent starts Soulscar Mage. Okay. If we draw a second Crab, we'll start Crab. We did not draw a second Crab, so go ahead and Venture Deeper. We mill Apostle's Blessing, Swift Spear, and Scourge. I guess we get rid of Scourge. And we can do that on their draw step because they don't have blue mana. So stop on their draw step. Nail Scourge. Okay, opponent does not have one in hand. They have Death Shadow, Fatal Push, Double, Thoughtseize, Bauble, Bloodstained Mire. Okay. So if our opponent Thoughtseizes us, they almost certainly take Ruin Crab. They're taking a look to see if we have any Archive Traps prior to cracking their Bloodstained Mire. Like, there's no reason for them not to take Crab here. So, away goes Crab. Opponent plays a Bloodstained Mire, cracks it. They get a Blood Crypt untapped, and now Shadow can survive at 1 life. They play a Bauble. They're also not scared of Archmage's Charm, because they're going to Thoughtseize us again next turn. So, take 3, we untap, they draw another card. We get a Force of Negation, so play a snow-covered island, cast Merfolk Secret Keeper, and we will be pitching Seagate Restoration to Force of Negation to stop this Thoughtseize that's coming. That way we can Archmage's Charm, steal their Death Shadow, and kill it. So, Force Thoughtseize. Opponent Fatal Pushes. Okay. And that's just about every card we knew about. They have a Mutagenic Growth as well. So they hit us for 9. We untap. We draw Archmage's Charm. So stop on my opponent's upkeep, and we're going to steal Death Shadow. Doing this so it's untapped. They also don't have blue mana, so it's not like they can do anything about this. They could have an Apostle's Blessing, in which case we would die. They Bolt Shadow. Okay. Opponent only has 1 card. They can attack for 2. We go to 4. And they Thoughtseize, taking our Archmage's Charm. Okay, they're down to 8. We untap. We draw Surgical, which I'm pretty sure if we cast, we're just going to die, so pass. Opponent draws and plays a Polluted Delta, hits us down to 3. We draw a Ruin Crab, so play the Crab, pass the turn. Crab can at least block. Our opponent probably is going to put Luris in her hand. I saw the red mana and I was like, we're at 3 life, we're totally dead. Untap. We draw Mission Briefing. I don't think we can actually venture deeper off of Mission Briefing, even though it's on the front side of the card. I don't think that's how that works. So, pass the turn. When it cracks Polluted Delta, gets a Blood Crypt. We could Mission Briefing right now and try to find an Archive Trap. That might be okay. I think I'm going to, because I do want to manipulate my top deck. Alright, Graveyard, Graveyard. Guess we'll hit Force. Doesn't matter at this point. Okay, well that didn't work. Opponent goes to combat, attacks, block. This is just slow rolling a bolt. Okay. Yeah, we're always dead to bolt, so... Alright, we'll bring in Ashioks. We're going to try them over Surgicals and see if that makes a difference. Alright, I would love to play first. It looks like these decks have gotten rid of the Delve creatures in favor of Scourge of the Skyclaves. Alright, we'll keep this. We are going to play out Ruin Crab to try and play around Thoughtseize. If my opponent wants to start removal, then they're not propagating a threat and they're not disrupting our hand. Really hoping they play a fetch land, though. Okay. Also, best top deck is Crab. Opponent starts Blood Crypt, untapped. Dismember? Interesting. Okay. They play a Bauble. I think they crack it to see what we draw. And they crack it to see what's on top of our deck now. Okay. Play Snow-Covered Island, and we'll go ahead and Maddening Cacophony. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a Soulscar Mage. Plays a Polluted Delta. Cracks Polluted Delta. Gets a Swamp and Thoughtseize. Well, mill them for 13, but they get to take our Ancestral Recall, which really sucks. Okay, we untap. They look at the top card of our deck. We draw Field, so play Field, pass the turn. How many of their basics have we milled? Slash, do they only run 1? Let's go ahead and take a look here. Good old MTG Goldfish, Death's Shadow. Take a look. They are Grixis, technically, but I think they're just black-red, really. They have 1 island and 1 swamp, according to the most recent deck lists. So it's not worth fielding right now. Okay, opponent plays a mountain, puts Luris into their hand. I think I am going to hit their Blood Crypt at end step. And the only reason I'm doing that is to thin my deck slightly, because we already have another field. They failed to find. They only run 2 basics. That's nice, because that means they have to have another land if they want to cast Luris. So, alright. Full power sanity grinding, let's go. 26 symbols, let's do it. 3, 6, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17. It's actually really close. The rest of the bottom in any order. And we'll go ahead and play Field of Ruin. Pass the turn. 3 mana, opponent plays Luris. We have so many cards that kill our opponent immediately. If we draw Maddening Cacophony, if we draw... pretty sure if we draw Crab, they're going to die. If we draw Archive Trap, they die. If we draw Sanity Grinding, they die. But we draw Polluted Delta, so play Polluted Delta, pass the turn. Actually, shoot. We're going to field them now. Try and deny them mana. And I'm going to fetch to Thin, because I would like to prevent my opponent from having the capability of winning the game here as much as possible. Lurrus is also slightly awkward, because it has lifelink for them, which shrinks their Death Shadows or their other guys. Okay, they play a Death Shadow. Please attack with Lurrus. They play a Bloodstain Mire. They Lava Dart us. Prowess trigger. They go to combat. They attack with Lurrus. If they don't crack that fetch land pre-combat, their Death Shadow dies. Oh! Yup, they kind of walked into that one. Get an island. Untap. And Ashiok. Probably going to close this game out. Fat lot of good that Lurrus is going to do you. Man, I now understand how casters feel when they have to cast a situation that they think's a little bit ugh. You know what I mean? So my opponent could flash back a Lava Dart. There was so many sound effects in my ear. I think I'm deaf. I really think I'm deaf in my right ear. I'm lucky that my left ear stays uncovered, but it was just like... Okay. And sometimes, and I don't know what it is, but I think it's Moto itself, occasionally takes and just blasts volume for no reason at all. And I've caught Moto actually adjusting the volume of other crap that's happening on my computer. Like when I play Moto and I watch a YouTube video at the same time, if Moto plays its startup noise, it's like, oh, max the volume of everything. It's horrendous. Okay, opponent hits me for 2 and kills Ashiok. Sure. Our opponent is dead to just about every single thing we could top deck other than a land. Alright. Hardcast the Archive Trap. Nice. Alright, so what do I think about this deck? Oops, I've closed and reopened Moto, so I gotta find it again. Jank Sanity Grinding. Okay, so a couple things. I really like this deck. I think this deck could easily have 3-2'd, and I think this deck could have possibly 4-1'd without too much difficulty. One of the worst spells / better spells in the deck, it's really situational, I guess is what I'm saying, is Merfolk Secret Keeper. Versus deck like Burn, it's a 0-4 that you can play as a wall. Other than that, it's a way to get some early milling in. I really like Merfolk Secret Keeper. We could possibly replace it with a Thought Scour to try and get through our deck a little bit faster, which was something that we were seeing a little bit of a problem with, is this version of the deck does not quite have enough cantrips and cycling to get through the deck. So I think replacing Merfolk Secret Keeper with Thought Scour, depending on your meta, is probably the way to go. Point number 2. The sideboard is a little bit awkward. We have some situational sideboarding, and I really think we should have some Tormod scripts, especially if our opponent has Eldrazi, like Kozilek, in their deck. If people are siding in Kozileks, I want Tormod scripts. Surgical Extraction can answer him, so can Ashiok Dreamrender, but Tormod script can do so with the Eldrazi trigger on the stack, and I think that's the kind of sideboard tech we're going to need if our opponent starts playing Eldrazi out of the side simply to stop us from milling them. The most awkward card in this entire deck is Archmage's Charm, which really sucks because the card is so powerful and it contributes so well to the Sanity Grinding plan. There's not really a replacement, as far as I know. We could cut Archmage's Charm and go with something else in the 2 or the 1 slot, and maybe we should, but if we do that, Sanity Grinding gets devalued quite a bit. We could cut an Archmage's Charm for another Force, cut 3 more Archmage's Charm for a second Cryptic, and then maybe some Thought Scours or something, to try and swap up the deck. But the problem is this deck is slightly too heavy in the 3-drop slot, even with one of the 3 mana cost spells we have being free. So slightly awkward there. Seagate Restoration was usually awesome. I think there was one time where I accidentally left it untapped and there was no reason that I needed to play it untapped. This being a land that counts for 3 pips of blue for Sanity Grinding is absolutely crazy. During the last Death Shadow match, we had one where we revealed 3 of these off of 1 Sanity Grinding, and our opponent got milled for 17, I think it was. That's pretty good. And the high end of Sanity Grinding is revealing, 10 spells. It's a theoretically, we could mill 30 off of a Sanity grinding. Is that likely? No, but it is possible. Let's see. I think you could also run Trapmaker Snare instead of either one mission briefing or if any of the other spells I've mentioned cutting. If you are in a fetch land heavy meta, I think that would be really, really fair. One of the biggest problems is we are losing too quickly to aggro. We're not gaining enough life, or we don't have access to Crypt Incursion because we don't have black. It might be worth running one Watery Grave simply to gain access to some of the sideboard black spells. Leyline of the Void, as an example, would be an excellent card against the Eldrazi Titan plan. And just having access to a Watery Grave so we don't have an awkward Surgical in our hand that would kill us like we did in that one game, I think would be really, really critical. Other than that, I really like this deck. I think this deck is fantastic. I kind of miss having like the full 8 fetch lands, but we'd be down too low to we have more fetch lands than we would have lands to fetch. So it's a little bit awkward. It's possible we should go up to 21, maybe 22 lands. Not totally sure on that. Overall, I really like this deck. I really like this deck as a sort of budget mill deck. I know the blue-black Dimir mill deck is probably better overall, but this deck is viable, and you can definitely jank some people out with it. Versus that 4-color deck, we have Commandeer. We have Commandeer versus Tron. So Commandeer can actually just win you free games if your opponent casts Planeswalkers or big spells. You can just steal them and use them against your opponent. Anyway, I've rambled enough. I hope you guys enjoyed this content. If you did, please leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you are so inclined. And remember, you can follow me on Twitch, same username over there as you find me on here, and I stream Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. See you guys next time. Bye!